What's going on, guys? It's Clutch Plays, and as we all know, the NBA season is coming to an end, so I've decided to recap every single team's best move of the entire season. So I'm going to be doing a two-part series to this, so this video is going to be on all the Western Conference teams. Then the next video, which is going to be part 2, is going to be of all the Eastern Conference teams. So I'm going to start in alphabetical order, so let's get right into it. The Dallas Mavericks, drafting Luka Doncic. So the Mavericks had two major moves this season, but by far their best one was trading up in the draft to get their guy in Luka Doncic. The Mavs were in need of a new star player since Dirk was aging, so they decided to trade a top 5 protected pick to the Hawks to move up in the draft to the number 3 pick to draft Luka. This was a huge risk at the time, but we all know it was worth it due to Luka being a complete stud this year and most likely the Rookie of the Year. He's only 19 years old and putting up all-star caliber numbers, and he is only going to improve from here on. The Mavs have a very bright future ahead of them as long as Luka is around. The Denver Nuggets, signing Nikola Yogesh. So the Nuggets didn't really make any significant moves this season. They just kind of improved their core. But one huge move they made was signing Nikola Jokic to a 5-year, $148 million deal. Since the Nuggets didn't make any moves, like I said earlier, this is by default probably their best move this offseason. They are keeping their star player who they have built their team around, and now things are finally coming together and the Nuggets are becoming true title contenders. Okay, the Golden State Warriors, this is easy, signing DeMarcus Cousins. Just to think the Warriors were not dominant enough, they signed DeMarcus Cousins on a 1-year, $5.3 million deal. They took a chance on a star player coming off a brutal injury, but he's on such a small deal. This low-risk, high-reward move is godly by the Warriors. Just to put it into perspective, Alex Abrines and Ish Smith both make more money than DeMarcus Cousins this season. The Warriors are literally cheating the NBA with this move. The Houston Rockets, re-signing Clint Capella. The Rockets were so close to beating the Warriors last year, and most likely would have if Chris Paul did not get hurt. The Rockets were in a position where they had to keep and let go many of their players, but they were able to keep their most valuable free agent in Clint Capella. He's on a 5-year, $90 million deal and only improving from here on out. The Los Angeles Clippers, trading Tobias Harris. The Clippers decided to trade Tobias Harris for a wide variety of young players and picks. I am in complete support with this trade due to the fact that to keep Tobias Harris, he wanted a max contract. Is he really worth it though? Especially when there are major rumors that Kawhi Leonard wants to come to LA. The Clippers, believe it or not, only got better without Tobias Harris, and they're the 8th seed with a lot of assets and cap space this summer. If they are able to get Kawhi Leonard, these acquired assets can give them ability to trade for another star player, for example, maybe Anthony Davis or Bradley Beal. The Los Angeles Lakers, signing LeBron James. So the Lakers season, as we all know, has been extremely disastrous, and the front office moves have been pretty poor as well, but they did sign the best player in the NBA in LeBron James. That's all I gotta say about the Lakers. I'm sorry about Magic Johnson and all that, but y'all really didn't make any good moves. Next up, the Memphis Grizzlies trading Marc Gasol. Marc Gasol was getting very old and on a very awful contract with a player option. However, somehow he still had a lot of value on the trade market. The Grizzlies were able to receive Delon Wright and Jonas Valanciunas, who has been putting up all-star numbers to end the season. Jonas did not play that much in Toronto, but when he got an opportunity in Memphis, he started playing outstanding and showing his true potential. At only 26 years old, so like right in the middle of his prime, a little bit before, he is averaging 20 points and 10 rebounds in 29 minutes per game with his new team. This was an absolute steal for the Grizzlies. The Minnesota Timberwolves, signing Derrick Rose. The Timberwolves had a pretty messy offseason with the whole Jimmy Butler situation, but they were able to find one of the biggest hidden gems of free agency in Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose is averaging 18 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists in only 27 minutes per game coming off of the bench. Having a player on a minimum contract averaging these stats is incredible. Oh, now the New Orleans Pelicans, firing Dell Demps. Dell Demps was ultimately the reason Anthony Davis wants out of New Orleans. Demps made many awful moves and could really never create a sustainable roster around Anthony Davis. The roster seemed to lack decent role players around Anthony Davis, and also one of his biggest mistakes was trading for DeMarcus Cousins and then not re-signing him. They gave up their next 2 years of assets for a 1.5 year rental. The Pelicans, if they did not trade for DeMarcus Cousins, could quite possibly have a backcourt of Drew Holiday, Donovan Mitchell, and Buddy Hield. Imagine that group around Anthony Davis. I don't think he'd be winning a trade right now, and I'm pretty sure they'd be a top 5 seed in the Western Conference. The Oklahoma City Thunder, re-signing Paul George. So the Thunder made a ginormous risk in trading for Paul George, and in the end, it paid off as he re-signed for 4 years. Paul George has been sensational for the Thunder and is in the talks for MVP. Sam Presti once again worked his magic and kept the Thunder in title contention. The Phoenix Suns trading for Kelly Oubre. The Suns drafted DeAndre Ayton, who was a great pick, but it was also like a given in the draft. The Suns received Kelly Oubre from the Wizards for Trevor Ariza, and since then Kelly Oubre has taken advantage of the opportunity. In only 40 games with the Suns, he's averaging 17 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists in only 30 minutes. At only 23 years old too, the Suns are stockpiling a great variety of young players. However, they need to start translating those young players into winning players before Devin Booker gets tired of the team around him. The Portland Trail Blazers signing Enes Kanter. Enes Kanter was bought out by the Knicks at the NBA trade deadline, resulting in the Blazers signing him for the rest of the season. Sadly, Yusuf Nurkic got injured for the rest of the season, so Enes had an increased role on the team. He has excelled and is playing much better with an increased role, averaging around 14 points and 9 rebounds per game. He is completely unreliable on the defensive end, but for a backup center to be putting up those numbers, the Blazers will definitely take it. The Sacramento Kings trading for Harrison Barnes. So the Kings did not make any significant moves this year. However, they did trade for Harrison Barnes at the trade deadline. This trade was good because they were getting an upgrade at small forward and they had to give up one of their current small forwards in Justin Jackson. The Kings are beginning to win and having Harrison Barnes will help them do so in the future. He is on a big deal, but cap space really isn't an issue for the Kings right now as they're made up of mostly young players on their rookie contracts still. The San Antonio Spurs getting DeMar DeRozan. The Spurs were put into a tough situation where Kawhi wanted out of San Antonio and they really had no leverage. Many people believed they were in a spot where they were about to rebuild. However, somehow the Raptors traded DeMar DeRozan, who loved the city, for Kawhi Leonard. In my opinion, I think this was a great deal for both teams due to the situation the Spurs were in. So honestly, I love what the Spurs did in this trade. The Utah Jazz trading for Kyle Korver. In the beginning of the season, the Jazz were in desperate need for three-point shooters as they were one of the worst teams in the entire NBA, so they needed help. In doing so, they decided to get one of the best three-point shooters of all time in Kyle Korver. This was a minor move, but it was the right one at the time. So those are all the best moves made by the Western Conference teams that I compiled. Please tell me if you disagree with any of them or think any other moves were better. And now that is going to be part 1 of the series. I'm going to have part 2 out next, which is going to be the Eastern Conference teams. So if you guys want to see that, make sure you are subscribed so I can have 2 subscribers. Let's go. And yeah, I'm out and peace.